Mridul, congratulations again, to making it to the ISB. So, having total experience, which is less than the class average, and also just about, the average GMAT score. Please tell us about your profile and what you think you worked in your favor.
Sure. Thank you, Vikram, on your wishes. So basically, my background is that I've done my bachelor's in management studies from Delhi University, Shaheed Sukhdev College of Business Studies, and I specialized in finance. Post that, I worked with Deloitte Consulting with the strategy and operations vertical for roughly 3 years. And post that, I moved to Nomura Consulting with the strategy investment group. And so that is my brief background. And if I talk about what would have worked in my favor, apart from, of course, with a GMAT score, which was just at the class average, I think first thing would be the background of my education. Probably helped me understand why I want to do an MBA. So I think there was a natural fit in terms of progression in both education and career. Secondly, I would also like to mention that coming from a consulting background, my long-term and short-term goals in my applications as well were based around consulting. So I think the consistency was there in what I was doing and what I wanted to do post MBA. And thirdly, I'd like to mention that apart from, say, just academics and my work experience, I've always had an eye out for involving myself in extracurricular activities. So while I was writing my application, I made sure that I was not just focusing on my GMAT score and my work experience, but also other curricular activities and leadership roles so that I can highlight other qualities as well.
Okay. So, coming from a finance background and, having a consulting experience, what were the key focus areas of your profile while building your application?
Sure. As I already mentioned, there are some pillars to an application. One is academics. Probably if somebody is applying at this stage, they can't go back and change their academic record. However, having a decent academic record is always helps. Apart from that, as I already mentioned, I was building my application. I made sure that there were no areas which were heavily represented and no areas which were not represented at all. So, say for example, people usually do not showcase a lot of leadership roles in whatever curricular activities that they've done. So, a very important factor is to showcase leadership and initiative roles in whatever curricular activities that you've done apart from your academics and your work experience. Also, I wanted to make sure that I highlighted the learnings that I had from my work experience in a way that I could showcase that I have transferable skills from my consulting job and onto an MBA and my post MBA goals as well.
So you would have had different interactions, first strategy session, then also with the ISB alum who was a consultant working with you. So how did these interactions, and the approach which was advised built your perspective, and how did it enhance your profile building and application?
Sure. So as I already mentioned, the one thing that I liked the most was that all the sessions were planned. There was an agenda for every session, and post every session, I had a key takeaway and a value addition that I was making to my application. So just to go through the entire process, my first mock interview, even though it went fairly well, I still identified areas, say keeping abreast with current financial affairs. I saw a gap there. So that is something that I went back and worked on. Second was a career goals strategy session. Even though I'd clearly mentioned my goals in my applications, while interacting with folks at ISBmantra, I got the realization that I wanted to have the depth of knowledge in the area that I was going to, and that I could expect deep questions and probably a line of questioning which would go broader than the surface. So I remember that I was told that I should go back and look at what is happening in the consulting world, what my views were about what would happen in the future to consulting as an industry. And I was advised to read a few white papers and build on that. So that was a good takeaway from the career session. Post that, I had interactions with different alumni. One of the alumni that I interacted with had a similar career path and was also working for a consulting firm, which was also my
Mm.
post MBA goal. So that really helped me build a perspective about what is it that I can expect in an interview from an alum who was on the other side, and
Right.
they had went through the process. And he actually helped me both solidify my learnings, which I've done from the previous session about learning about what is happening in consulting. So that was a good validation point from the alumni. And also, of course, those interactions had huge validation because the alumni was in the industry and he was able to give me on ground real inputs, which I could have used in my interview. And last interview that I had was again from an alumni from a very similar background, and that was a final mock interview, and it was very close to what I experienced in my final interview as well
Oh,
with the
excellent.
ISB.
Okay.
So
So
because I
with
think
that, can you also talk about your interview experience at ISBs and the key areas of discussion during those interviews?
sure. So my interview was conducted by alumni. Both of them were from the batch of 18, and
Mhm.
so fairly young alumni. And both of them happened to be working in consulting post their MBA.
MBA.
So the interaction actually started off from my hobbies, and that is something which a person doesn't expect in a normal interview. And they went through every hobby that I had mentioned, and basically it was a check of my the depth and the knowledge that I had working around those hobbies. So I think I was not expecting that they would probably explore hobbies to that extent.
Right.
After that, they were questioning on the kind of work and the engagements that I delivered while working with both Deloitte and Nomura. So I would advise anyone who's going into interview to be thorough with the work that they've done, their work experience, and know everything that they mentioned on their application regarding work. And next was after post we discussed our work. Then they wanted to understand my motivation to do an MBA, why MBA, and what is it that I was gaining from ISB. And they wanted to make sure that I wasn't just doing an MBA because everyone is, and I had my valid reasons and my goals were clear. And post that, because I had mentioned consulting as my short term as well as long term goal post MBA, I think one of the ways that they test your acumen is that they probably give you a guesstimate or a case study
Right.
if they want to see the fit between you as a individual and your goals. So I was given a case, and that case was case come guesstimate went around for 12, 15, 20 minutes. And post that, there were pleasantries exchanged, and they asked me if there were any questions that I had, and I asked my question, and then pleasantries were exchanged, and then we were done.
Lovely. So, so you're saying the preparation with us also were a lot on those lines, and overall, you know, obviously you got an admit, so that was a good
Exactly.
experience
So
you had.
yes. So just to give you an example, I remember very categorically. I had my final interview with the alumni one day before my actual interview, and there was no guesstimate asked in previous mock interviews. However, one day before my final interview, the alumni who took my interview made it very clear to me that you can expect a guesstimate or a case interview.
Indeed.
Indeed. And then that is what happened. And I'm thankful to him that one day before I wasn't preparing as much because I thought probably the fact that I was coming from consulting would not open up that line of questioning where they would want to test my guesstimate at case skills. However, that interview helped me a lot, and that entire day I actually spent on preparing for a guesstimate and a case study. And next day I was sitting and answering a case question.
And we do make sure that, you know, during all the mock interviews you will have, with us in one of the mocks, especially students who have a short-term goal of getting into consulting, that they get this experience of solving a case. Lovely. So how are you spending your time now between the admit and the time before you join the program? I have you planned anything special?
Sure. So I'm actually a round 3 admit. So I have so my chances of getting in was slimmer than, and I'm thankful to the team which helped me make through the round 3 applications as well. So I actually have lesser time compared to other round admits. However, I'm making the most of it. I am right now probably going through some core courses, which I can expect when once the courses start. So basically prepping, this is pre-course prep that I'm going through, just brushing up on some of the subjects. Apart from that, there's a lot of socializing happening with all the admits. So I'm frequent to all the get-togethers so that we get to know our fellow batchmates. And apart from that, there is a lot of hustle and bustle between the admits regarding what kind of interaction that they're having with alumni. So we have frequent interactions with both alumni as well as batch, which is currently at ISB right now. And between that, today and my admit, I'm planning to pack up my stuff because there's a lot to pack as well.
Excellent, excellent. So, Mridul, before we wrap it up, what is your advice to prospective applicants, especially those who want to, go into consulting as their short-term career plan?
Sure. So, my advice would be to applicants who are actually applying in the near term would be that, of course, a good GMAT score always helps, and that is the truth. So I would advise anyone who has especially a consulting short-term goal that to focus on GMAT and make sure that they are at least above class average. And apart from that, from a application point of view, consulting firms do value as well as ISB values leadership qualities and roles. So if you've ever had the opportunity to be in a leadership role, be it work or be it extracurricular activities, make sure that you highlight that in a manner which is convincing. And lastly, I would say that always be prepared with the knowledge of what is happening in the consulting industry, and of course, being thorough with your guesstimate and case methodology always helps.
Okay, Mridul, thank you so much for taking out your time. I know how busy you are just before the class going to start. All the advices and inputs you have given will go a long way for us to, pass it on to the prospective applicants. And we wish you all the best, Mridul.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Vikram. Thanks to the entire team at ISBmantra. Hope you help more people get into ISB.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Vikram.